Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video I'm going to take a look at the newly popular Warlock Zoo archetype, the Pain Zoo. This particular build is from HS Replay. It's one of the most popular builds. This is not my own list, but it's a fairly straightforward deck overall. It makes extensive use of the new synergies in Scholomance Academy. There's the soul fragments that heal the Warlock, and then there's a bunch of things that damage the Warlock, and between all of those and the payoff cards it has some really powerful synergies. Of course, one of them being the Flesh Giant. An 8-mana 8/8 costs 1 less for each time your hero's health changes during your turns. And Flesh Giant doesn't have to be in your hand to get the discount. It doesn't even have to exist to get the discount. You can technically discard your Flesh Giant with your expired merchant and get 2 Flesh Giants, and they will get all the discounts, depending on how many times your hero's health has changed. The main draw engine of the deck remains the Hand of Gul'dan, and because there is Flesh Giant involved, that means that you have to be a little bit more careful about things, because you want to discard Hand of Gul'dan usually. You do that either with the expired merchant, or you do that with the Nightshade Matron, and both of them discard the highest cost card in your hand, and that takes into account the current cost. So as long as Flesh Giant costs 7 or 8, it's always the Flesh Giant that's discarded. If it costs 6, then it's a random roll, either the Flesh Giant or the Hand of Gul'dan. And once you get the Flesh Giant to less than 6 mana, then it's always going to be the Hand of Gul'dan that's discarded. And you can play with this to decide whether you want to discard some Flesh Giants, make copies of those, or whether you want to discard Hand of Gul'dan and draw some more cards. The deck has also a plethora of other synergies with this damage-based things. So for example, you have a tour guide. Battlecry, your next hero power costs 0, and very often you play the tour guide, you maybe tap before playing the tour guide, or you don't tap on that turn, and then you save that 0 cost hero power. Because with 0 cost hero power you can play the Diseased Vulture, which generates a 3-drop when you take damage on your own turn. So then you can play Diseased Vulture on turn 4, and then you can tap on the same turn to take damage, and then it will generate a 3-drop. And you could also play some Raised Deads on the same turn, a 0-cost spell, to deal 3 damage to your hero, return 2 friendly minions that died this game to your hand. Raised Dead can only be played if at least 1 minion has died on your side of the board in that game. So you can get very explosive turns where you do a lot of stuff with your Diseased Vulture. With 0 mana hero power, you also have the ability to use that together with the Brittlebone Destroyer, which is hard removal. It destroys a minion if your hero's health has changed during that turn. And then there's also the Dark Glare, a demon that restores 2 mana whenever your hero takes damage on your own turn. So you can do Tour Guide, then you can go for Dark Glare and tap, and you can go for Raised Deads. And if you have 2 Dark Glares on the board, you can just have tons of mana, so you can do extremely big swings. And to add to all of this, you also have Kenrithad Ebonlock in the deck. It's a 2 mana minion, your demons cost 1 less. So you have demons like Flame Imp, like Spirit Jailer, like Voidwalker, and like Dark Glare. So you can play your Kenrithad and then you play a bunch of 0-cost demons on the board. So there are tons of different synergies in this deck. I actually found this deck fairly challenging to play, because there's so many things to keep track of, things to keep in mind, all these synergies, how do you optimize it, when do you go for the Ebonlock turns, when do you go for the Diseased Vulture turns, how do you deal damage or heal up so that the Flesh Giants are playable as easy as possible. There's some randomness involved because you get random minions from Raised Dead, unless only 2 minions have died, so then that can affect your decisions during the turn. Sometimes you have to use your Soulfire early. Soulfire is a good finisher spell, but it's also a good spell for board control, and it discards a random card, so how do you set up your hand for that Soulfire to minimize bad outcomes and maximize good ones? This sort of Zoo deck might be a very aggressive deck to play, but you're going to be playing a lot of cards, you're often going to be playing a lot of cards in a single turn, and there's also a bunch of these somewhat random outcomes that affect your decisions, so during the turn you also have to change your plan accordingly. As for the mulligans with this deck, you're typically looking for some 1-drops, Tour Guide, Flame Imp, get on the board quickly. You're looking for Hand of Gul'dan. There's 2 copies of Hand of Gul'dan in the deck, and there's 4 copies of cards that discard it, because there's 2 expired merchants and there's 2 Nightshade Matrons. So you want to hold on to Hand of Gul'dan, and if you have Hand of Gul'dan, you want to hold on to one of the cards that will discard it so that you get more draw. You can also look for various synergies, like sometimes Kenrithad Ebonlock together with some cheap demons means that you can do a pretty big turn for 2 mana. Sometimes you have like Tour Guide and Diseased Vulture, and you already set it up. Okay, I'm going to Tour Guide so that I will have a 0-cost hero power on 4 to go with my Vulture. There's a lot of stuff to play for with this deck. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can support the channel by joining as a paying member here on YouTube or joining as a subscriber on Twitch, where I live stream 6 days a week. You can find a link down below to my Twitch channel. And now, let's go take a look at Pain Zoo Warlock in action. Now I need something stronger. I need strong good cards that deliver a whiteboard for me very quickly. They should do vanilla Hearthstone like in World of Warcraft. Yeah, I don't know. It would be. It was quite different back then. I wouldn't say that it was great. It always, of course, when you think back, things seem better usually than they actually were. I need some cards that generate a big board quickly. Currently I don't have that. I have a Flesh Giant, but I have some tools to discount a Flesh Giant. I mean, instead of tapping, I actually think that I am going to play these minions. Druid kept 1 card, so Druid probably does have some ramp there. But there was no nature studies. So if that's like an overgrowth, it still takes another turn. Maybe I can get something done. But then after that, there's the 7 mana turn, and then 2 copies of Raise Dead, really. So I could Raise Dead coin Flesh Giant. I cannot do that because at least 1 minion has to have died, and no minions have died. No. I actually couldn't even do that, because nothing has died. Ouch. You cannot play Raise Dead without an effect. Now there's the overgrowth, and then next turn is the 7 mana turn. I needed the giant out there. Then the 7 mana turn, so if I play the Diseased Vulture out there now, it's just going to die. Then I get it back from the Raise Dead. Looking a little bit tough. Just a little bit. I think I have to play it. But now, Druid's power turn is here. And I'm afraid I played every minion as quickly as I could. I put as much power on this board as fast as possible. There was no way to do it faster. Iron Bark? Seems like an Iron Bark to me. 5/8. Well, I can kill them both with the Soulfire. So I want to tap first. And more giants. Do I want more Diseased Vultures? I guess I'm fine. I can do it like this. This is the best I can do. This is the best I can do, I believe. This puts an 8/8 on the board. I did have the alternative to make Diseased Vultures by killing this off. Maybe that was better than making Flame Imps. On the other hand, now the Druid has to do something about this one. But there was a chance that killing that off was better than killing the Flame Imp. I needed 2 minions dead for the race dead so that I get as many cards as possible for the Soulfire. Maybe killing this and killing a Spirit Jailer was better. You can definitely argue for that. Yeah, no, there's little on board. So there's also that. So I wouldn't even go for it, even if it was. The percentage chance wouldn't be good enough. It's a blunder not to go face with 10-10. Yeah, the rogue totally blew it. I mean, that's not my fault that the rogue was bad. I can't help it. I can only do things. Ouch. The real problem is that there's often a buff for that. Like, I don't have to... I played this because the most likely play from Paladin would be the 1/3 Aldor. And I wanted to be able to trade that away if it comes. But now I would have to sacrifice, or I risk this one turning into a 4/3. I think the play here is to tap and go face. If you want to buff this into a 4/3, go ahead. The trade will still happen. So I gain a little bit by doing that. So then there won't be the buff, of course, there will just be the trade. But it's still a gain for me. If I had played the Voidwalker, this would be buffed, Voidwalker would be killed, and then then it would go 2 for 1. So I still wouldn't have a good board position. But now if there's the 4/2 with Divine Shield, that's crazy good. That's crazy good, that one right there. Well, I do have the Can Retard. I'll play Can Retard with some minions. Let's try this. There's a chance of a buff on the 4/2, of course. Renewing the Divine Shield. And also getting it out of reach of the Can Retard. Because I can only hit the Divine Shield away with the 1/3 and then I can't actually kill it. Or you can turn that into a 3/3. So there was the buff was there all along. Luckily not the strongest of buffs. More jailers, we do more jailers. And we do a tour guide. Do I kill the goody 2 shields? Do I do something about the Mermy? Both are quite scary. I also have this option. Hit once into that so it has 1 health. So that it cannot value trade. High Abyss, alright. But it's unlikely that there would be a first day of school here. But at least that's a thing. And now I can actually kill the High Abyss before it is activated. Splendid. We're going to go for that one. Pair of race deads, not bad. So this one hits over there. This one kills that. This one value trades that. And this one removes the Divine Shield from the 2 shields. Okay. Next turn will be the Vulture turn. There's the Libram. Anything else? Not yet. Good. Dark Glare. Can't quite do Vulture and Dark Glare. It's just Vulture into tap. 3 damage to a minion. No, not enough damage to actually kill the Truth Seeker there. So it's Wasted, which can give me Void Walkers. And it gives me Void Walkers. So I will play a Void Walker. That spell damage is a little awkward with the Wasted. I will play a Tour Guide. Okay. 2 discounts so far on the Librams. So no Libram of Justice into Consecration. If there is no weapon, there has to be a weapon now. Otherwise the Diseased Vulture will live. This Paladin doesn't really care. Oh boy. They really don't care. Alright. 4 damage to a minion. Puts this one down to 3 health. Then I can trade it away. Or I can just kill it with the Schooler. What if there is, for 7 mana, 3 plus 4, there can be Libram and the Consecration. That's a little awkward, isn't it? But I'm dealing that 4 damage over there. Can I go to 7? I think I can go to 7. This one shoots over there. Then this one trades, this one trades, this one trades, that one goes there, that one goes there, then it's tap and the Flesh Giant. Like this. So now there has to be a Libram of Justice together with the Consecration. Or Lord Barrow together with the Consecration. That is even better. But I felt that I didn't have a good way to play around that. There was always the chance that there's a board clear waiting, and I knew and accepted that possibility. So I played 2 Dark Glares and tap, I will have 4 mana. And I will have a good chance to discard the Hand of Gul'dan. I actually don't tap first, I play the Soulfire first. So this will be Dark Glare. And Dark Glare. Now I have to tap first, otherwise I can't tap after. So I need to tap first. I have to play Flesh Giant, and I get to Soulfire the Barrow away. Sadly, I lost the 50-50 roll to get that Hand of Gul'dan. Now there needs to be another weapon or Consecration to kill me. And I have 3 minions, so I have some tools to fight back should the Paladin build a board. Of course I wanted to win this 50-50 roll. I would have had 3 mana left to play stuff from the deck.
Let me think.
Sadly that one is going to be buffed a little. And I will have to simply play the Hand of Gul'dan, which is not ideal. Are you telling me that I did not receive a single one of those 4 soul fragments? That is what you're telling me. So I have to sacrifice my Flesh Giant. Well, that's sad. Schooler can kill that one. I can hit face. But now I have only 2 minions on the board and I no longer have pressure. And that will make it very difficult for me to win from here. Voidwalker is kind of weak. I might keep the Deceased Vulture, because if I'm able to pick up a tour guide, then I can play the Deceased Vulture on 4 together with a tap, when it might still be fast enough to do something. We'll see how it goes. How can I win a Highlander Mage or a Spoon Warrior? Well, as a Highlander Mage you're not drawing anything, so you have tons of threats. If you don't draw the bombs too early, you just kill them. They don't have removal to kill all of your threats. Well, that was a waste of a soul fragment. Didn't even discount the giant. Alright. Not the greatest of turns. Next turn I will need to play the tour guide. If I could top deck like a 1-drop here, then I could play 3 1-drops next turn and nothing else. I would like that. I take that one too, though. That's complete. No, it discards the Flesh Giant still. I don't want to discard the Flesh Giant now. Or do I? Do I actually just make more Flesh Giants instead of the Hand of Gul'dan? So the options are to tap and then play the tour guide, or not to tap and play a couple of minions here. Maybe I do take the Flesh Giants. I'll take the extra Flesh Giants. Let's do it like that this time. We'll give it a try. Next turn is Deceased Vulture and tap. Hope that the Druid doesn't have an Overgrowth, but the Druid does. So next turn Druid could make the magic 7-mana play. I could try to save this one for Brittlebone Destroyer, but I think I have to be more aggressive. Druid doesn't necessarily have guardian animals in hand. It's not like they always have it. And if it isn't in hand, then book beams aren't free yet, so Druid will have to work a lot more on the other things. So guardian animals was not in hand. That's good to know. I may end up discarding Flesh Giant if I play the Nightshade Matron. So I think now I need to discount the Flesh Giants a little bit. And just go with the Schooler here. Hit Druid in the face a little bit more. But now it is the 7-mana turn. So many things can happen from here. I have the tap Brittlebone Destroyer. That's an option to kill something. So there is a dragon in hand because that's ramped. It could be Ysera. It's also a Teacher's Pet, right? 8 cards in hand, so I'm able to play the Nightshade Matron, right? Yes, I can play the Nightshade Matron. Matron trades away that one. What comes out? A 3/2. Do I mind? The answer is I do not. I just want the Voidwalkers on the board. And I want to hit Druid in the face as much as I can here. This puts the Druid to 9, but now Druid is at 9 mana. And I expect that there's an Ysera in hand. And if there's an Ysera, well, I have the Brittlebone Destroyer. So even if there's an Ysera into... oh, it's First Warden. Oh, okay. Well, now there can be some kind of a Malygos combo, I suppose. Okay. Oh, that was turn 6 lethal from the Druid with Malygos combo. I have to say I was not expecting that. Let's see what I can find. So far nothing. Alright, well, it can only get better from here. Let's go. So the priest kept almost everything. That is a terrible sign. I don't think there's really an option to hit into the Disciple there. Priest always has the option to just heal it. I think I need to take a little bit of a chance there. Play the Dark Glare, see whether the Priest has an answer. Priest doesn't necessarily have one. Apotheosis doesn't answer that. Penance would, of course, with the 1-2. But I feel like a little bit of risk taking is necessary in a position as bad as this one. We'll see. I mean, the games you win against Priest typically you win because Priest doesn't find some of the answers. Priest doesn't have any card draw, so Priest is very limited in what sort of answers they can find, especially early in the game. So, especially early in the game, you want to ask the Priest some questions. And if Priest doesn't have an answer to those questions, the Priest immediately dies. That's a good move from the Priest. And I don't really have anything here. Not really. Don't particularly want to discard my Flesh Giant. Let's see if I can find a cheaper card. I mean, more expensive card than Hand of Cooldown probably was what I was looking for here. Well, that certainly didn't give me that card. So we do it like this. I wanted to keep this in hand as long as possible, so that it could be discarded by the Soulfire. I wanted to clear the entire board, so that Priest cannot find an answer if there is a Apotheosis. And then this gave me the best pressure that I can get right now. Obviously this is still looking pretty bad, but if I can find a Hand of Cooldown, I will still have a way to discard it. Either I would have had it with the Merchant, or I will have it with the Matron. In this case, discarding the Merchant means that I will have it with the Matron. Flesh Giant is not as great against Priest, typically, because Priest has millions of ways to answer it. Well, that luckily failed. Then we're going to ask the Priest whether they have an answer to the Flesh Giant, right? But if I tap, I will get 2 mana back. Yeah, then I can still play the Flesh Giant afterwards. Or if I happen to pull, well, I don't. So Flesh Giant it is. Trade away the Zephyrus, 3 to the face. Priest may or may not have a card that answers the Flesh Giant. Next turn I can do Diseased Vulture and tap, even if this one dies. Thought Steal is unlikely to give Priest an immediate answer to the situation. There has to be a death in hand. There is a death in hand. Sometimes there is. I don't want to play that Soulfire. So this is the Diseased Vulture. Then I will tap, I will get another 2 mana. Do I actually want to Soulfire the Flame Imp now? I think I do. There's a chance that I discard the Hand of Cooldown. And if I don't, I will still have a way to discard Hand of Cooldown next turn. So this will preserve my board. Priest will have to come up with new answers.
The future is clear. Your demise be named.
Well, Nightshade Matron or Hand of Cooldown, neither can be played this turn. Next turn there can of course be a Soul Mirror. There's still 2 cards left that the Priest kept in the opening hand. So further risks do remain. Well, I'm of course going to be tapping here, because I want to generate another 3-drop. And I'm going to be playing the Nightshade Matron to draw another 3 cards. Does the priest have the soul mirror? I suppose that is the big question here. Anyway, this one is going to kill that. These are going face. And is that it? I can play one flame in for another random 3-drop. That's acceptable. Small problem that this one remembers spells that I played. So Soul Mirror is the best thing that the priest can have. Intriguing times. Intriguing times. This will shuffle Soul Mirror into the priest's deck now. There could be an Apotheosis, I suppose. I can take the hero power here. Raised Dead. Do I have any useful minions that I have died? Not many. Not many, no. There can still be Shadow Madnesses, of course, as well.
There is so much untapped power.
I think this one trades away that one. We'll go with a board like this now. Okay. Let's see about Priest's next answer. 8 mana, Plague of Death cannot be played yet. There can be various AoE spells, and there can be the Soul Mirror. Not Soul Mirror, the... Yeah, that was of course unfortunate. The Apotheosis is the card that I was... would be the worst case scenario. And that's also pretty bad, I have to say. On the upside, now some useful minions have died. So there's a chance for me to get some useful minions. I don't, but I could have gotten some useful minions. It was possible. I guess Canretard Prime is going to be played next turn. I don't dare to discard it in order to try to get 2 copies. It seems that I may not be able to kill this priest. Priest may have been able to stabilize here, because even in the best case scenario I only have 7 damage on the board for next turn. And Plague of Death is available.
No, don't. It's still good.
Well, Plague of Death was not in hand. So... but it could be in hand now, of course. Giving Priest card draw for free sucks a little, doesn't it? Ah, there was also a Shadow Madness. Splendid for the Priest. There's also Penance. Great for the Priest. Oh dear, oh dear. It does not look likely that I could win this one. Let's see what this one gives me first. Nothing useful again. Ah, dreadful. What does this one summon? A bit of this and that. Do I find with the tap? Nothing useful. I've seen a Holy Nova. I have not seen the Breath of the Infinite. I think I will sacrifice that and use that to trade there. Now Priest obviously has tons of answers in the deck, but that doesn't mean that any of them will be found. And if there's no Plague of Death now, and if Priest hasn't been able to find more removal pieces here, then this board could still provide sufficient damage to threaten the Priest. I have both Shadowlight Schoolers in the deck, and I have a Brittlebone Destroyer in the deck, and I have a Soul Mirror in the deck. So there are some tools left here. Let's just see if those tools are going to be sufficient. This priest had a time rip as well. Unfortunate that the priest has had every removal piece in the deck. But maybe there's no more. We're about to find out. Currently threatening 10 damage. Alright, one cost spells could mean waves of apathy and stuff like that. Hand of Gul'dan. I think I want to play the Dark Glares, right? I can do the Hand of Gul'dan a little later. Maybe. I can use the Brittlebone Destroyer to kill that. And all of these are going to the face. So I get the priest down to 8 health. If there is a wave of apathy, that will of course keep the priest alive. The odds of a wave of apathy are pretty decent at this point. We're about to find out. Or if the priest has recently drawn a Plague of Death. Priest could also get the Soul Mirror that is currently in my deck. There is an 11% chance for that. I mean, now the priest is just dead. Well, the priest did end up crumbling when we just kept pushing with the threats. Unless there's that wave of apathy, it can still save the priest, right? It can still save the priest. Now I will have to find... I would have to find a Shadowlight Schooler before I draw all the fragments. I can generate more fragments too, though. Okay. So... we trade this one away. Now there is no Diseased Vulture on the board? Nope. Oh, but that Soul Mirror draw means that I cannot... Because I drew precisely the Soul Mirror, that means that I can't Expired Merchant the Hand of Gul'dan. If I play the Hand of Gul'dan, I don't have enough mana to play the Soul Shear. Oh dear. I have to risk it. One of these goes there. Everything else goes face. Everything else goes face. I play that on the board. Then we had to risk it a little. But we did get there in the end. That Soul Mirror draw, 1 out of 5, threatened the entire win there. But... phew! Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.